hero.
I don't see any expiration date written on here.
Such an inspiration to you.
Yes.
Right, must be such an inspiring story for them to hear. Wow.
Peter, what kind of, Peter?
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment now. Peter, Rhonda, thank you very much for coming in. We're going to take a little break right now.
That's right, coming up. We're going to be ignoring Iraq some more.
Stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and ring that bell so you get all my videos. Today we're going to talk about fight or flight response. How is it an automatic psychological reaction to an event that perceived as stressful or frightening? The perception of this of the threat activates the sympathetic nervous system and triggers in an acute stress response that prepares the body of fight or flee. So that's enough said. Let's go ahead and give it to Dave. Go for it, Dave.
Do you remember the movies that sent chills up your spine, like movies Freddy Krueger, Jason, Chainsaw Massacre, or when somebody scared you unknowingly? The question is, can humans be scared to death? Yes, humans can be scared to death. In fact, any strong emotional reaction can trigger fatal amounts of a chemical, such as adrenaline, in the body. It happens very rarely, but it can happen to anyone. Being scared to death boils down to our autonomic response to a strong emotion, such as fear, any strong positive or negative emotions such as happiness or sadness. There are people who have died in intercourse or in religious passion. There was a case of a golfer who hit a hole-in-one, turned to his partner and said, "I can die now," and then he dropped dead. A study in Germany found an increase of sudden cardiac deaths on the days that the German soccer team was playing in the World Cup. For about 7 days after the 9/11 terrorists' attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon, there was an increase of sudden cardiac death among New Yorkers. Who is most likely to suffer from sudden death is your question. I can answer that. A predisposition to heart disease would probably increase your risk of sudden death. But it happens at all ages and can happen to otherwise healthy people. So let's try to prove our point here, but first, please subscribe to the Islamic Prince channel and ring that bell so you would not miss a video. So today let's talk about fear linked to the heart. 1400 years ago nobody knew that fear is linked to the heart. Today we know this is false. Fear is felt in the heart just as in the brain. The heart is able to influence how the brain responds to a fearful event, depending on which point it is at in its regular cycle of contraction and relaxation. So an article of the U.S. National Library of Medicine says cognitions and emotions can be influenced by bodily physiology. Here, we investigated whether the processing of brief fear stimuli is selectively gated by their timing in relation to individual heartbeats. Emotional and neutral phases were presented to human volunteers at cardiac systole, when ejection of blood from the heart causes arterial baroreceptors to signal centrally the strength and timing of each heartbeat, and at diastole, the period between heartbeats when baroreceptors are quiescent. Participants performed behavioral and neuroimaging tasks to determine whether these interoceptive signals influence the detection of emotional stimuli at the threshold of conscious awareness and alter judgments of emotionality of fearful and neutral faces. Our results show that fearful faces were detected more easily and were rated as more intense at systole than at diastole. Correspondingly, amygdala responses were greater to fearful faces presented at systole relative to diastole. These novel findings highlight a major channel by which short-term interoceptive fluctuations enhance perceptual and evaluative processes specifically related to the processing of fear and threat, and counter the view that baroreceptor afferent signaling is always inhibitory to sensory perception. Fear is felt in the heart just as in the brain. This was known recently, however it was portrayed in the Quran 1400 years before it was discovered. Quran 3-151 We will throw fear into the hearts of those who disbelieve, because they attribute to Allah partners for which He revealed no sanction. Their lodging is the fire. Miserable is the lodging of the evildoers. We will throw fear into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Today we know that fear is linked to the heart. No mistakes in the Quran. How could an illiterate man who lived 1400 years ago have known that fear is linked to the heart? The Quran is a book of knowledge, not a science book. The thing we are showing you is what book you have. Can you compare to the Quran is our question. When the Quran knew things before science did, this has to be the book of God. He will be the only to know of this, because he knows his creation, like you know the things you created in his creation.
Hero.
I don't see any expiration date written on here.
And he's kept
For,